everyone, and welcome back to Mariana Mas Books. My name is Mariana, and today I am here with a book tag. I feel like I haven't done a tag in a while, and I used to do them all the time because they're fun. So this is the This or That tag for People April. It was created by Elizabeth at Bookhands and Books and Ross at Scully Dandelion about the books, who are the two co-hosts for People April. I talked about People April in my previous video, I think, so I'm not going to talk a lot about it at the moment. I'm going to leave all the links below for Elizabeth and Ross's channel and their announcements. People April is all about biographies, memoirs, diaries, letters, that sort of thing. So the questions all revolve around that. And so question number 1 is big, fat and detailed biographies or short and succinct biographies. Okay, a while ago I did a video called My Idealized Reader Self, and in that I talked about all the books that I wish I read, that I wish I wanted to read, that my inner intellectual hipster snobby self would love to read, but I don't actually read. Big, fat, chunky biographies are probably part of my idealized reader's self. I'm not sure. So I very recently got into biographies. I haven't read a lot of them, but I would like to read more of them. And so immediately I'm going to answer the same way Elizabeth did, which was my immediate instinct is to say big, fat, chunky biographies. I own big, fat, chunky biographies because I am attracted to them in the same way that I am attracted to big, fat, chunky books in general. But I have never actually read a big, fat, chunky, detailed biography before. So, in theory, I would say I'm more attracted to them, but in reality, I am scared that it is one of my idealized reader self's answers, and that in reality, I prefer succinct and short biographies. Question number 2 is celebrity memoirs or average Joe memoirs. I usually read more average Joe memoirs, but I'm also attracted to the idea of celebrity memoirs. I am always interested in celebrity memoirs. I always, I don't know, the gossipy nature, and when I was a teenager, I really loved watching, shows about celebrity news and red carpets and that type of thing. So that part of me is really attracted to celebrity memoirs, but I don't actually read them, and I feel that it's probably because everyone reads them and everyone reviews them. And so by the time I have watched 20 videos about Spare or about Britney Spears, or actually not even videos, just like posts on social media that share quotes, that share reviews, after the millionth one that you have seen, you're like, why would I read it? I guess you read those memoirs for the shock factor, and the shock factor is gone after so many reviews and quotes that are shared. Whereas an average Joe memoir, as Elizabeth said in her video, they are publishing that memoir because they have something interesting to say, and because probably they have an interesting way that they said it, and that's why it's being published. And average Joe is a relative term also, because one of my favorite memoirs from last year was Rob Delaney's A Heart That Works. Fantastic memoir, highly recommend. And he is an actor from a show that I don't know. I never heard about him. So for me, he was an average Joe, but I guess he's not technically an average Joe. But it wasn't a memoir about his actor life. So it wasn't, I don't consider it a celebrity memoir. And then, for instance, you have a memoir by authors, right? And that is not an average Joe, but it's also not a celebrity memoir. So I guess it depends on what you consider celebrity memoir. So for me, celebrity memoir is the Britney Spears, William, Matthew Perry, big Hollywood actors or singers or that type of thing. That is celebrity memoir for me. And in that sense, again, I'm always attracted to them, but for some reason I don't read them. My favorite memoir ever is A Ghost in the Throat by Doireann Ghríofa, who is an Irish poet. I don't know how well known she is. I didn't know her. That's my favorite memoir. Another favorite memoir I can think of, Kory Stamper's Word by Word, which is her experience working in a dictionary. I love that memoir. So, yeah, that would be my answer. Next question is complete correspondence or selected letters. And for that one, it's very clear to me that my idealized reader self wants to say complete correspondence. I would love to be the type of person that can say that they have read the complete correspondence of whoever. I love that. I love that, and I wish I was the type of reader to do that. I think realistically selected letters is what I would read, again, unless it's someone that you are super interested in, that you're like, yes, I want to know every single thing they said. So I will say realistically probably selected letters, but my idealized reader self would love to say that they have read the complete correspondence of an author or a painter or someone equally cool. Next question is memoirs that are written when the events are fresh or memoirs written in hindsight. That one is easy. I think hindsight. I don't actually know a memoir that is written when the events are fresh. Most of the memoirs that I've seen are always a time has passed and then the author is reflecting on an experience or a moment in their lives. So yeah, hindsight. Okay, number 5 is my favorite question. Gossipy biographies or scholarly biographies? And my answer will be scholarly gossip. That is my answer. Scholarly gossip is my favorite thing. So what I mean is scholarly in theme but gossipy in nature. I recently finished a book in Spanish called El ídolo sin pies ni cabeza by Leonardo López Luján. And in that book, he talks about the discovery of a sculpture from the Aztecs, from the Mexica. It was discovered in 1790 and it is the goddess Coatlicue. It's literally a book about the discovery of the Coatlicue. And if you're thinking, why would you write an entire book about that? It's because there was a big controversy when the sculpture was discovered, because there was like a feud between intellectuals in a gazette of the time where the guy who discovered it wrote something, and then another intellectual of the time wrote a response saying, that guy is wrong, this is what I actually think it means. And then another guy joined in the discussion and he's like, they're both wrong, the one who's right is me and this is what I think it means. And then they just like started a feud in correspondence, and they just started going back and forth, attacking each other, and who was smarter than who. And there's this whole gossipy nature of the author of the book telling you, oh, and then this person wrote this, and then this person wrote this, and then him adding his thoughts about the people involved, and then telling you about, you know, where the sculpture actually ended up, and that the friars who had the sculpture reburied it because they were worried that the Indians would succumb to idolatry. So they buried it again, and so then the German explorer Alexander von Humboldt comes and he wants to see it, so they have to dig it back up, and then they dig it back again. So the theme is scholarly because it's archaeology, it's history, but the nature of it is gossipy because it's like, oh, the feud between intellectuals and like the fight over letters in the Gazette and all of that. And for me, it's very much a popcorn read. And then the other example is another book in Spanish that I read a few years ago that is called Memorias de Inés, Amor, una mujer en el arte mexicano, by the two historians that will appear on screen because I don't remember their names. And that is literally a book made of interviews, conversations. So Inés Amor was a woman who had an art gallery in post-revolutionary Mexico. So the golden age of Mexican art, the muralists, Frida Kahlo, Diego Rivera, that time period in Mexican art history. She knew every single famous painter in Mexico or artist in general. She also knew, you know, she was in the culture scene. So painters, sculptors, writers, even politicians. She knew everyone. She knew everyone. And so these two historians went to her house when she was older, and they would sit with her for hours with a recorder, and she would just talk and talk and talk about her memories, about the gallery and the experiences that she lived. She remembered the anecdotes, and it was just like her saying all she remembered. And then these two historians, with all the transcripts and everything, put the book together in a more structured way, where all of the anecdotes about that have to do with politics are in a chapter, all the ones that have to do with the opening of the gallery and in another chapter, and so on. And so you literally get the gossip of all of the famous painters, sculptors, writers, politicians, who was sleeping with who was living where, who hated who. She does not hold back. They even, in the introduction, they mentioned that they did the interview with the intention of publishing the book, but then the family asked to wait. It was published long after it was intended to be published. And that is because she goes hard on a lot of people. So it is, again, for me, very much a popcorn read. I was just eating every gossip and anecdote up. And again, that's another example, scholarly in theme, but the nature is very gossipy. It's not like about art, it's about the gossips between artists. So that is what I mean, scholarly gossip, that is my choice. Next question is diaries of ordinary lives or diaries of extraordinary events. That's easy, ordinary lives, all day, every day. that will always be my answer. I think you will only read diaries that will interest you for a particular reason, whether it's because it's a diary of a person that you are interested in, or because the theme, the time period, there's something about it that interests you. I recently found out about a diary of a construction worker in Mexico City in the 1700s, narrating his everyday life, what he was working on, what constructions he was working on in the center plaza. I would love to read that. I would much rather read the everyday of this worker guy who is just describing everyday life in 1700s Mexico City than the diary of a general describing a battle. Everyday, ordinary life. That will always be my choice. The next question is arty memoirs or sporty memoirs. And I think from my scholarly gossip answer, you can tell arty memoirs. That's what I love. I wouldn't know anyone in a sporting memoir. I don't know athletes, I don't know sports. The next question is gritty autobiographical writing or inspirational autobiographical writing. I don't know how to answer this question because I think there is a big stigma and judgment against inspirational writing, and I think it has, I mean, there's a reason for that. Inspirational writing has become commercial, cliche, superficial. It can have, religious themes. It can have propagandistic themes. But just like in every genre, there is excellent writing. And there is inspirational writing that is not intending, either not intending to be inspirational, that is very raw, that is very honest. Really awesome, honest, raw, inspirational writing can be amazing. And often when I hear gritty, there's like angry with a hopeful tone, and there's angry with a nihilistic tone. And I don't like nihilistic. So, I don't know how to answer this question, but I guess that would be my answer. Okay, we just have 2 more questions to go. Biographies of historical figures or contemporary figures? Historical figures. Historical. If it's a contemporary figure, then you want a memoir, not a biography. It's like, Walter Isaacson. He recently wrote a memoir of Elon Musk. Why? I mean, let's just put aside everything we feel for the guy. I'm saying we, because I'm hoping that we all feel the same towards that guy. But like, regardless of how we feel about the guy, he's not dead yet. So I don't understand why there's a biography. It's like politicians, a biography of someone who isn't dead yet always feels like propaganda. There's money involved or there's interest involved, and I find it icky. Anyway, so I'm going to stop it with that rant and just say historical figures. And the final question is memoirs of happy days or memoirs of sad days. And I'm going to go with secret option number 3. I think my favorite memoirs are neither of happy days or sad days. They are about a theme. There's a theme and a focus, and they write about that. And so it is about projects or about work. I love work memoirs. But I guess if I'm going to choose between happy or sad, I don't know, because I have read more books from sad days. And I'm always interested in sickness and illness memoirs because of my personal experience. But there are some memoirs, like recently I think Olive recommended or no, I think it was Steve Donoghue. He recommended Along Came a Llama, and Olive has recommended the Penguin Lessons. And so those are about happy days, because Along Came a Llama is about a family that adopts a llama, and the Penguin Diaries are about a teacher who adopts a penguin. There's probably something sad in them, because animals always have something sad. Animal books, always the animal dies or something like that. But in general, they are of happy days, and I am very interested in both those memoirs. And also, I'm very interested in memoirs that are funny but about sad days. Those are also great. Anyway, those are all the questions. I'm going to stop talking now, because I love memoir, as you can tell, and I want to get more into biography. And so I will see you soon with another bookish video, and in the meantime, I wish you happy reading.